Right, everybody, welcome in to another Not Move podcast, fantasy football. We got Chief filling in for A Train today.
What's
A
up,
Train
buddy?
got some other things he's got to get to, but we wanted to make sure we got some content out there for you guys. All the stories you need, all the stats you need in order to make your fantasy lineup great for this Week 9 matchup. Chief, we're going to go in through and talk about your best matchups at each position, and then we'll talk about some waiver wire guys. We know the trade deadline is looming, but before we
hmm
get started with fantasy football, reality baseball, the Dodgers just won the World Series last night for the second time in a row. I know you're super pumped about that, Chief. Uh, and
You have no idea. The only
all
thing
right.
that's making me smile that the Dodgers won is the fact that we kept another title from Canada.
Amen to that, brother. Right? Amen to that. So before we get started, we'd like to mention our sponsorships here at the Not Move podcast. So mybookie.ag, BetUS, the NFL shop, the MLB shop where you can get those Dodgers championship T-shirts. Also Walmart, and we do have our own Not Move podcast merch store, which we'll be giving you all the QR codes to in the upper corner here in just a few minutes. But before we get started, Chief, how are you feeling just in general about this big matchup with the Bills?
The big matchup with the Bills, man, I gotta say, I was explaining this to JB last night. I'm feeling all right about it just because I look at it this way. We're coming off of a slow start to the season. And I also see right now that the Buffalo Bills are human and they have flaws. So I'm feeling it's going to be another great matchup between Allen and Mahomes this week.
Yeah, I think a lot of fantasy football implications here with this matchup. James Cook, Isaiah Pacheco's out, so it looks like
Yeah.
Brashard Smith might get the start. Um,
Yeah,
we
so
we have
I think it's
Josh Allen and
between
Mahomes. They're going to do their thing, right? But I think it's the other guys on the field that are going to really kind of shine here.
yeah, and I think one of my main matchups this week for wide receiver is Rashi Rice. Since he's come back, he's only been back for 2 games with playing the Raiders and playing the Commanders. And both games had touchdowns, had catches, had yards. He's picking up right where he left off before he got hurt last year. And I mean, going into which I'm pretty sure A Trader, you had mentioned this at one point before Rashi Rice got injured last season. He was the leading receiver in the NFL at that point. I think it was going into week 4, if I remember correctly, when he went down last year. So he's just picking right back up. He's just having to play a little bit of catch up right now because our leading receiver right now is Travis Kelsey with, I think it was 420 yards I read last night.
Yeah,
So we're, I'm feeling all right. I'm cautiously optimistic just because it's still my Chiefs, still my team, but at the same time, going into Buffalo, now it's November. This is when the season starts. Now everything matters as far as regular football and fantasy football. It all the implications are on the line, especially for those playoff pushes for fantasy.
absolutely. And I'll talk about the matchup with the 49ers this week against the Giants. Uh, Obviously, two teams now in different spots. The 49ers are trying to get through some of these injuries before they can start making a real playoff push. The Giants still trying to find their footing. Matt 10 is starting again this week. Brock Purdy on the shelf. We did get back George Kittle last week, and he had a touchdown on National Tight Ends Day, so that was a positive thing. Um,
Yeah.
but we are just looking to get a win here, really. I'm not looking for anything specific out of the 49ers. Just get
Are
the
you
win and move on to the next week.
now
So
question on that game? Is that in the Meadowlands
it is on that MetLife turf, man.
or
It's just,
yeah? I
you
I
know,
tell you what, one West Coast teams traveling east worries me, and
yeah.
also I do not like that forbidden turf there at MetLife.
Yeah, I mean, when we played back-to-back weeks on it, we played the Jets and the Giants in back-to-back weeks.
Oh, did you
Two,
play? Did you? Oh, you played the Jets last week
no, no,
in.
no, no. 2 years ago we did that,
Oh,
and we
okay.
lost three players in that 2 weeks. So
Jeez.
I think that's part of the reason maybe why Mac Jones is starting this weekend. The bad part
Yeah.
about that is he has, it hasn't been a factor as of late, but he does have a knee injury concern for the
Yeah.
49ers. So
Well, you
if
see, I
you're
was
if you're
breaking down
looking
this
to,
with my Chiefs team last night, and I got to say, looking over my injury report, I guarantee you, I could go over every other injury report for all the other 31 teams, and I can tell you right now, it's that time of the season. We're going into week 9. Everyone's just banged up. I mean, right now we have 1 week left of the quote unquote apocalypse for fantasy owners between 7 and 10. So
yeah, we're on the last leg of it.
yes, because I think there's only like 4 teams that are on bye this week.
Hmm.
So as far as your matchups go, it shouldn't be terribly too bad unless if you stacked your team with Philadelphia Eagles, which I don't know why you would, but here we are. Uh, but you have 4 teams on bye this week, so it shouldn't be that bad because I think it was 2 weeks ago. There was what, 6 teams,
Six
eight.
teams on a bye. Yep.
Yeah, that's why I call between week 7 and 10 a apocalypse because
Yeah.
you have to watch the waiver wire. You have to watch your team. And especially it goes back to the advice of when you draft, try and draft accordingly to where you can afford to lose some players, regardless if it's injury or bye. Hey, this guy's doing all right. Cool. I'm going to go sneak someone 2 weeks out because they were rage dropped. How many times have you picked someone up because they got rage dropped by someone else and then balled out the next week?
Yeah, absolutely. And, when we talk about things like the bipocalypse or bimageddon, some people call it, it just means that, your knowledge of fantasy football is going to deepen based on necessity if you haven't dealt with that. If you're a new fantasy owner, um, the idea of being able to navigate those weeks is very crucial. If you're not a team that's 8-1 by now,
Mm-hmm.
and most teams, in fantasy football, they at least have 2, 3 losses. So you're looking at a new way of being able to manage that, especially when it comes to the travel and also those international games play a factor for some players. Um, it's really difficult when you get through these 7 to 10 weeks, 7 to 10 here, at the end of fantasy football, looking to make a playoff push. So
Now,
let's get started on the quarterback matchups this week. What do you like from the quarterback matchups this week?
right now, I'm liking Daniel Jones. I'm liking Justin Herbert. And I got to say, I'm really. Who was the third matchup that I saw this week? The third matchup. Let me grab my notes real quick. Give me a second here.
You
I
got
had
it.
it. I had it put up on my list, and I'm just like, oh crap. I was trying to go off of memory. That was my bad. Honestly, right now, I like Sam Darnold against the Texans, or excuse me, not Sam Darnold. I like Bo Nix against the Texans. I
Okay.
think Bo Nix is honestly, Bo Nix is actually, as a Chiefs fan, I'm saying this 100% as a Chiefs fan. Bo Nix is actually starting to prove me wrong, and I'm really starting to like what he's doing on the field. His decision making. I've looked at the Denver Broncos as a diesel engine, but I gotta say they're starting to change my mind to where that's a real team, and especially from a fantasy perspective, he's making the decisions the right way to get his guys easy targets, to get his guys good looks. He's not throwing hospital balls; he's throwing efficient balls.
Yeah, I mean, he has had a pretty healthy year on the team in general. The receiving core stayed intact most of the weeks. And one of the things that is going to be different this week is he doesn't have Denzel Mims, who's typically a big play guy, a guy they have as a returner, can set up some field position. I really feel like he could possibly have a little bit more involvement in the run game based on the pressure that Houston Texans defense gives you, which will be some bonus points for those who own Bo Nix this week.
Yes, and if you can, and that's one thing, and I know you guys have preached this before, if you can somehow land a good matchup between quarterback and skill position player, anytime they score, usually more likely double bonus points, which we always love.
Yeah, absolutely. And some guys I like this week on the waiver wire, coming back from injury, starting this week in a big matchup, J.J. McCarthy versus the Lions. He's only owned at 25% in leagues, that being because of his week 2 performance, but also because of his injury. So J.J. McCarthy is a guy you might want to look out for the waiver wire. Jacoby Brissett with the late addition of Kyler Murray being out on the matchup against the Cowboys. He's only owned at 10% in leagues. And a guy who's fallen off this year, but I really like this matchup for some reason, is Geno Smith versus the Jaguars. He's only owned in 7% of ESPN fantasy leagues.
So my first question is why Geno? And because I know what the foundation is of that offense, I just got to say in my opinion, there's something missing there in Vegas. And the yards are just not there. And it's just, he's not able to stay upright.
Yeah. So I think a lot of what is going to happen here with this Jaguars defense, they're going to shut down the run and force him to throw the football almost immediately. So I think the opportunity for him more than anything is what gives me some confidence in starting or picking him up, just because they're going to be playing from behind a lot as they have all season. But in this particular case, that Jags offense has been pretty productive most of the year. So I don't see why that wouldn't change in this particular matchup.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a game of playing of catch up and cat and mouse, because you're essentially running into a Jaguars offense who, much to everyone's disbelief, is actually they're actually moving the ball down the field. Travis Etienne is still their bell cow, and he's going to be their bell cow for a while. It was tough to see Travis Hunter get put on 4-week IR, especially on the offense. Regardless if you had him in fantasy or not, he's still one of those types of guys that can honestly, he's able to create separation for other guys, especially on that offense. Brian Thomas Jr. still running into an issue of catching, just making catches. How many times have you and I watched highlights and it's hitting him right in the numbers? Just something's going on right now. As you and I being baseball fans, it's just a case of the yips for Brian Thomas Jr. right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think he'll be able to get through it. And I can honestly say this, and it's really quite miraculous. It's just brilliant to say. It's not Trevor Lawrence's fault this time.
Yeah, I think that when we talk about, that Jaguars offense, there was a lot of question marks, and we're going to get more. Excuse me, we're going to get more into that injury with Hunter, and when we talk about our waiver wire for receivers. But before we get to moving on to running backs this week, the matchups and waiver wires, let's not forget to shout out BetUS, one of our sponsors, who has been on our side since the very beginning of this podcast, moving through the months this year. So we want to shout out BetUS for their sponsorship. And we have a question here. It says, Yvonne says he's been waiting for this live. He feels like today is going to be a great day in the NFL. Dylan Fink says, let's have a day full PPR flex. Higgins
yeah.
versus Chicago or Tucker Kraft. Tucker Kraft all the way. Tyler
Yeah.
Warren. Tyler Warren though he said he has on his roster already,
Hmm.
but I feel like Tyler Warren is really going to eat this week. I don't know about you, Chief.
I agree. I think Tyler Warren's going to eat this week. As far as Tucker Kraft goes, man, that dude is the tight end right now in my book. He's just getting the looks. He's creating separation. His yak is just is impressive. I don't know what it is, but Tucker Kraft, he is slowly moving up the ladder in tight end play to where I'd draft him first above a few tight ends, and that list is and he's getting up to the top. I think next year he's going to be one of your top two, if not three, tight ends drafted.
Yeah, I think that obviously with Kittle and Kelsey aging, and Brock Bowers with his
With
problems in the
yeah,
offense in
just
general, just getting started with the Raiders is going to
and
be something to consider for next year.
and the
Obviously,
lack thereof Kincaid and Kyle Pitts.
oh yeah. Well, we had questions about Kyle Pitts. Actually, has done better this year than he has in previous years.
Yeah,
Dalton Kincaid with an injury designation, so obviously going to shorten his numbers this year. But I agree with you. I think Tucker Kraft is becoming one of the more impressive tight ends. Only in his third year, I believe, in the league. So
yeah.
no doubt about that. All right, so let's move on to running back matchups. What do you like this week, Chief, for running back matchups?
So running backs, the first one I gotta go with Bijan. The Patriots have last I saw, I think it was a 26th ranked rushing defense, if I remember correctly. If I read that,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
so I think that one's going to be one to keep an eye on. And besides, Bijan's going to want to get back after last week's loss to the Dolphins. That one was pretty bad. Somehow they came through and played a really great game. Another running back that I think honestly can have a good game. They're just the best team in football in my opinion right now, and I got to go with Jonathan Taylor. Do I think he's going to have another 3-touchdown game? No, but he's going to get your yardage. He'll have 2 touchdowns, and I think one will be rushing and one will be receiving.
Okay. I will say that despite the ranking of that defense against Bijan, they have not allowed a more than 50-yard rusher this season. So that's something to think about.
True. Is that not crazy? The complete night and day turnaround the Patriots have put on the NFL.
Oh, I mean, I think that with the addition of Vrabel, right, starting out is really good. I knew it was going to turn that defense around, and it has in the pass game specifically. Now they got to get some guys up front. They just traded Keion White to the 49ers. And obviously he didn't fit the program for Vrabel in that defense.
And that was the same thing with Kyle Duggar, the safety that they just traded to Pittsburgh. I've heard conflicting reports that, hey, he didn't really fit the scheme. They didn't get along with it. Well, you know what? That's fine if he doesn't fit the scheme that's there. What's one man's trash is another man's treasure. So we'll have to wait and see how those trades loom. And one thing we will be doing later on, we're going to try and cover all the trade deadline news that we get in to report as quickly as possible for you guys, so that way you guys have all the right news. My third running back, honestly, I'm going to have to say is Travis Etienne. I'm sorry, the way the Raiders are right now, they have no identity on offense or defense, and they just can't make things work, and I think that's going to prove well for the Jags this week.
Yeah, totally agree with you on the Travis Etienne thing. I mean, since the injury to their starting running back, I mean, it just kind of has been an open door for him to be able to kind of shine as that back that they've had for the few years.
Yeah.
Very, very productive in the pass game and the run game.
Yeah, and I will say this: their backup running back that they have. So they traded away Tank Bigsby.
Yep.
To Philly, which I think has been a decent backup. Cool if you're in a bigger man league, but their second stringer that they have in Jacksonville,
Bashal Tootin. He's from Paulsboro, New Jersey, around my neck of the woods. Just so you know.
Okay. Yeah. I think I remember you mentioning that to me. I don't know why I find the last name Tootin. I thought that's yeah. You know what I mean. I'm a kid at heart, so
I got you.
But it's just he's honestly a gem that you can have, especially if he's a good filler for a bye week. He's one of those kinds of guys for Tootin. I think he's going to get some touches too. I do not see this Raiders-Jaguars game even being a contest. I really don't, especially with that. And because for the first, 5 weeks of the season, the Jaguars led the league in turnovers. So, I mean, if you're going against a team that is just going through an identity crisis right now and overall a personnel crisis from top to bottom, you better eat. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, absolutely. So some guys that I like this week to come off the waiver wire is first your guy Brashard Smith versus the Bills. He's only owned at 15% of leagues. Obviously, with Pacheco being out, going to have a larger role this week.
They also activated Clyde Edwards-Helaire off the practice squad, but I don't know if I would make that step just yet.
And then they have Elijah Mitchell, so it's not like Elijah Mitchell's going to probably get on the field before Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Oh no, it was confirmed. They activated Clyde last night. They activated Clyde 2 days ago.
Yeah. So I'm saying Elijah Mitchell will probably see the field before Clyde Edwards-Helaire will.
I know that's what I was saying is they officially activated Clyde to the starting 53 in place of Pacheco. So he's number 3. Brashard and Kareem are destined between 1 and 2. I don't know how they're gonna designate it just yet. From what I had read I think they were gonna start with Kareem, but honestly, I like what you said earlier. I would rather see Brashard Smith get the 1 and save Kareem for those conversion downs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like Kareem Hunt is the ultimate short yardage back, much like we saw with a few teams earlier in the year. I mean, when we had the Eagles picked up Dillon for that reason with Barkley. We also saw that, for the 49ers use Kyle Juszczyk in that role as well sometimes. So, I agree with you. I think Kareem Hunt may get an uptick in carries a little bit, but I feel like Brashard Smith is going to be the guy.
Yeah.
So another guy I like this week is Jarrett Patterson against the Titans. He's only owned in 1% of leagues, and the Chargers versus the Titans are. The Rams. The Jarrett Patterson versus the Titans is. The Titans are just falling apart. I don't know that they're going to sell out any players, but their defense isn't very good because their offense isn't very good. So it gives Jarrett Patterson a chance to be able to get on the field in that matchup. And then the last one I have is with the injury to Cam Skattebo, Tyrone Tracy has been elevated to the number 1 running back for the Giants. And Devin Singletary is now a guy who is going to be involved a lot more in that offense. A guy who was the starter before James Cook took over in Buffalo, and he will get some looks at receiver as well as in the run game. So you might want to take a look at Devin Singletary versus the 49ers, only owned at 4% of fantasy football leagues in ESPN.
It's so interesting to see Devin Singletary still just going through the grind.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a guy who had a really, really big impact on that Bills team. I thought he wasn't bad for him to be able to have.
He was honestly keeping them afloat when Josh was going through his woes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was the bell cow guy. I mean, they had a few guys on that team, but the bell cow guy who really kind of gave them diversity in the backfield. And I feel like, when the Giants picked him up a couple of years ago, I was thinking, okay, well, that he was going to be the guy who started, um, after Barkley left.
Yeah.
But so a guy who's come off the bench, and I feel like he's going to have an impact this week. He may give you a few catches, and he'll definitely get you probably 20 to 30 yards on the
See, I
ground.
think, and that's the thing that was with the Giants, though, especially with the loss of Scadaboo. He's going to have to. They have to, between Tracy and Singletary, they're going to have to figure out either a 1-2 punch combo or figure out who's going to be the top dog there, because we all know, for those of you that saw gruesome injury to Scadaboo, heart goes out to him, because that dude was honestly, he was lighting it up as far as kind of being that new fresh face of the league that people they enjoyed watching him play. And I think even from a fantasy perspective, if you can correct me if I'm wrong, Otis, like, he wasn't amazing, but he was at least getting you a satisfactory day
Oh
fantasy
yeah, he was
wise.
getting you double-digit points, each week. I mean, whether he scored a touchdown or not, um, kind of gave him a little bit more in the fantasy realm. But
Yeah,
he wasn't touchdown dependent. You know what I mean? He
no,
wasn't one of
he could
those guys.
honestly get your yards based on receptions
Hmm.
and yardage and rushing yardage. It wasn't necessary. It was always warranted, but it wasn't expected to get a touchdown out of Cam Scadaboo.
Absolutely.
So,
Um,
and those are the types of running backs, personally, fantasy wise, that I love drafting, because I would rather, who was it back in the day? Oh, it was not CJ2K. There was another running back. I cannot remember who it was. He had some of the best yards out there, but he never had any touchdowns because he had one of the greatest wide receiving cores around him.
oh,
Who it was? It was Ray Rice. He would always
oh
get
yeah,
It was Ray Rice. So because he had Steve Smith, had a few guys around him, Jacoby Jones, rest in peace at that time, where these
yeah,
guys were getting all the touchdowns, but Ray Rice was still running up. Unless if he was hitting a home run, he'd get stopped at like the 15. He'd
yeah.
run from basically the 20 to the 15 on the
Right.
opposite side, and then Flacco would throw it for a tutty.
Yeah. So before we get into our receivers this week, I just want to mention MLB Shop. You can use that QR code in the corner here. Get all your MLB Shop needs. If you're a fan of any baseball team, you guys I know are going now into the off season. The Dodgers winning the championship. Obviously, you can get that championship gear at
And
the MLB Shop. So thank you to
so
them.
also our website, not
Oh yes,
move
you can also get it on our
dash.
website,
Yep.
the Not Move Podcast merch store. That will be put up. The QR code for that will be put up in the
Yep.
upper corner
And for
there
those
at
of you
the
that
end
can't
of
do the
this.
QR codes, it's
Yep,
not moved dash shop.fourthwall.com.
got it. All
So
right.
that way you guys can go on there and check out all of our links, all of our sponsors, our shop through the fourth wall. So that way you can collect all of our merch. There's also three other things. We have the Kansas City Chiefs Pro Shop, we have the Dallas Cowboys Pro Shop, and the San Francisco 49ers Pro Shops as well.
Yeah. So if you need a jersey, obviously go on to the Not Move Podcast merch store. Again, we'll put that QR code up.
Yep.
In
And
the
also,
end of the
since we
show.
are live, I did get a message from JB and I wanted to put this out there as well.
Yep.
Guys, we stream the games all day on Sundays through Sunday Ticket. One thing we're doing right now, we are doing a jersey giveaway. All righty. $10 entry. Okay. Come and join us on TikTok. You guys can join in. If you follow us on one of our social medias, our YouTube, our Twitter, or something like that, got to send a screenshot over to JB. And on our website, if you go there and put in the entry for the raffle, when we get over 10 people, we're going to draw for a jersey of your choosing. We will put your name on a wheel. If you win, you get to choose the number, the jersey, the sports team, anything you want on the jersey, it's yours. So,
all right, that's great to hear. Obviously, an opportunity for you guys out there to get some merch for yourself on your favorite team. All right, let's move on to receivers. What do you think about matchups this week with receivers?
I think Keenan Allen's going to eat regardless. I think Keenan Allen is just going to have himself a day. I'm not even just Keenan Allen. I think that Chargers wide receiving core is going to eat. They're playing the Titans. They're banged up. You have guys on the Tennessee Titans that are honestly asking for a release so they can go find their own team. So, because Tyler Lockett just did it out of their wide receiving core, so that's pretty bad if players are asking for that. My next one, I'm gonna say a little bit of a tougher matchup, but it's still the same. I got to roll with Michael Pittman Jr. I mean, what else can you say about this Colts team? They're just making it work.
They're highly effective on offense. They're the number one offense in the league right now.
Yes, and it's hard to not pick a number one offense, especially for fantasy, because everyone eats, everyone gets the ball spread around, and then there's Jonathan Taylor who shows out in the running back portion, but Michael Pittman Jr. is definitely doing his job. What was my third one? My third one that I saw this week was JSN against the Commanders.
Yeah. Totally agree with JSN.
So I think JSN is honestly – I was honestly surprised because you know how it goes with these wide receivers. They have one good year and then they fall off. JSN is putting together an amazing body of work, and he's going to keep eating, especially after last week. I think they get a little bit help in the linebacking core for the Commanders back off of injury. But I mean, you're going to have to double JSN. He's just that type of guy who demands that respect right now.
Yeah, absolutely. A guy I also like this week is Jay Jettis. Jay Jettis is a guy who averages 120 yards against that Lions defense. Averages.
I see. Here's my I guess my question that I have, and I wanted to allude to this earlier, especially with your quarterbacks off the waiver wire. Mm-hmm. I'm personally worried about McCarthy. I mean, granted, I don't know what I don't know as far as, his limited experience as the starter.
Yeah.
I hope he can get through these injury woes, just because the time for the Vikings is now. They have one of the best rosters, 1-53 when healthy. So if they can get over this injury bug in general, and JJ McCarthy can show up and show out when the lights get bright, especially with a certified key win today, should be a good day.
Yeah, I just think that it's going to be a lot of force feeding just out of necessity. I think the Lions is probably going to blow them out, to be honest with you. I think they're 8.5 point favorite right now, but I just think that there's going to be a need for him to pass the ball a lot. So some guys that I like off the waiver wire are Chimere DK from the Titans versus that Chargers defense. Again, another necessity of passing the football. Cam Ward, is going to be throwing the football. I mean, it's just what they're doing right now. They don't have a whole lot of offense. So they're going to be playing catch up this entire year, pretty much. And he's only owned in 22% of ESPN fantasy leagues.
And that's your replacement from Lockett, right?
Correct. Yep. He puts the replacement for Lockett there. And then another replacement guy, PJ Washington, replacing Hunter and Jacksonville versus that Raiders defense, only owned in 5% of fantasy leagues in ESPN. I just feel like PJ Washington is a guy who also is a return guy, so he can get you points in two phases of the game for the Jags this season. And the last guy is Calvin Austin III versus that Colts defense. He's the third wide receiver who is now ascended and kind of is cementing himself as the number 2 option Although it seems that when they get in the red zone, more of the looks are to the tight ends with Fryermuth, Washington, and John Smith. Yeah.
And
But
that's
he is the
that's how Arthur Smith's offense has been structured
yeah.
for years.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
Me personally, that doesn't. I mean, I'm not trying to go. I know we're a fantasy show, but me personally, I don't like the way that they do that. It doesn't work well for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like he's a guy, who's looking for, especially when he gets out of the pocket. He's not typically a guy looking for the tight end. He's usually looking for a receiver scrambling around. He's always had Cobb, as a guy.
Cobb, Dobbs, Jones. I mean, even for the limited time of Cheeseburger Eddie, as a pass catching running back, he wasn't anything special, but he got it done.
Right.
That's with Rodgers is he doesn't care who it is.
Yeah.
It's just he doesn't he spreads the ball around equally. He doesn't just throw it to one position group. Just looking for tight ends. I'm not saying it's a bad idea because they're big-bodied guys in a small area in the red zone, but you need guys who are willing to be able to extend the play, and not all tight ends can move like lightning.
Yeah, 100%. And so, I feel like Calvin Austin is a guy who, if they can be, if he can get open, down a seam, he's a guy who can catch the ball and be going. He's just that fast.
He's got the speedster in him.
Yeah, oh yeah. Gotcha. So before we move on to tight ends, we want to talk about NFL Shop. We alluded to the merch that's available in the Not Move podcast, but NFL Shop for all your tailgating and team needs. I always talk about fans who fly those flags on their windows. You can get the NFL Shop when you're on your way to a game, or just maybe on your way to work, like Chief. He would put his Chiefs stuff up on his car, or if you want to get a book bag or a hat, for Christmas. Christmas is coming up. I know we haven't gotten past Thanksgiving, but apparently Christmas happens before Halloween's over in the retail market. It's happened more and more, unfortunately. I kind of liked when I was younger and Halloween went away and kind of we just had a break of that idea of purchasing, and now it's just, I mean, I feel like there's 7 Black Fridays. There's 18 Cyber Mondays.
Hey, don't forget about Christmas in July sales now.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, so retail business doing well, obviously, in an otherwise unconventional market, at least on the American landscape anyway.
My amazing wife asked me last night, she goes, could you actually start going through the Christmas decorations tomorrow just to see what we have? And I'm just like, we just got through Halloween.
It just took the decorations off the porch. We just did that today, this morning.
No, she's asking me to take them down today, too.
Yeah. So, we did this morning. Before we got on the pod today. So anyway, if you're a wife who's watching this podcast, go to MLB Shop, get your husband a jersey or a shirt, make him happy for his team. He can show up and show out at work. If you have those kind of jobs where you have your favorite NFL team, you can wear it on Fridays usually. I'm a teacher, so we get to do that sometimes.
When I actually worked in an office, I got to wear my favorite sports team every Friday, and my wife went on the NFL Shop and got me a nice Chiefs polo.
Nice. There you go. Yeah.
So, and it worked because it matched my company's colors anyway.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize you worked for Where's Waldo. All right. So let's move on to tight ends. Tight ends this week. I have a lot of guys I think they're going to have a really good games on the waiver wire. But what do you got for matchups this week, Chief, on the tight end landscape?
So as far as the tight ends go, my first matchup that I'm running with right now is I'm going to see George Kittle. I think regardless of the travel, regardless of the matchup and who's playing at quarterback, George Kittle's going to eat. I mean, that Giants defense, their front seven's good as far as pressure goes. I don't see them being able to keep up with Kittle. He's just one of those special humans in my brain as far as a tight end is concerned. The other matchup that I'm seeing this week as far as tight ends go, oh, dang, I can't pick them because they played Thursday. Because I was going to pick
Isaiah Likely?
No, I was going to pick Andrews with the 2 tutties.
Okay. Oh, well, he had 2 tutties, so you were good with that pick.
Yeah, Mark Andrews was that guy. I something was just telling me, and then also the other one, you have Tucker Kraft going against Carolina, and the only thing that's, in my opinion, that's keeping Carolina afloat right now is their offense, and their defense is they're a bend but don't break, but lately they've just been breaking.
Yeah, I feel like that. There's not a bad matchup with this guy, and I feel like a lot of the times people overanalyze a little bit too much when they get into these matchups. It's just simple. He's a better playmaker than the guy that's covering.
Yeah, and here's one thing that I'll say this in general as far as fantasy is concerned. When I've made, I have my leagues where I have wagering and I have leagues that I play for fun. And I can tell you the difference of effort that I put into leagues. Sometimes the results still end up the same. So at the end of the day, as long as you can have a key foundation of statistics that you run with, I think you'll be okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of hey, are you a top 10 receiver in your position group? Cool. Are you a top 10 rusher who's also getting decent passes? Great. Let's go. That's the way I draft. I tend to not draft rookies. I would rather go veterans over rookies, unless if you're labeled as a generational talent.
Yeah, I typically agree with you on most of those fronts. So some guys I like picking up this week, if you don't have them, Colston Loveland versus that Bengals defense is another. I mean, we already talked about Tyler Warren against who's the other rookie tight end in the first round.
Gosh, who was it? Oh my God! You see
I jogged your memory.
Yeah, you did. Oh man, that other because Cole. Well, no, because here's why I was thinking because Cole Kmet is still out, right, with the Bears.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I let's let Colston Loveland do his thing. He was drafted that high for a reason.
Yeah.
I want to see some productivity. So
yeah, absolutely. And I think the way to do that is to play the Bengals. That's just being honest. Sorry for all my Cincinnati Bengals fans out there. But
it's also rough given the fact that they blew a lead to the Jets. But, hey, we're going to let that go.
Why are you bringing up old stuff? You're really hurting these people. They're banking on Joe Flacco doing the same thing in Cincinnati that he did in Cleveland.
I know. It's just when the door's wide open, you got to walk through sometimes.
All right. So moving on from Colston Loveland and that awful Bengals defense. By the way, just to throw it out there, everybody said, well, they're addressing their defense in the draft. And the draft picks haven't panned out yet. But I don't know how much time Joe Flacco or Joe Burrow have for that defense to get fixed. But two guys I like on the same team, either one of these guys could go off today versus that Commanders defense is A.J. Barner or Elijah Arroyo. Elijah Arroyo, by the way, also another rookie tight end from the University of Miami. Both of those guys are involved in the pass game. underneath of Jackson Smith and Jigba. So hopefully those guys will get you some points here. And the last guy I have is Tyler Higbee versus the Saints, only owned in 2% of fantasy leagues on ESPN, which I can't believe because I feel like Tyler Higbee was a guy, couple years ago who was emerging as one of those tight ends reliable with Matthew Stafford.
If you can correct me on this, didn't he spend some time injured this season? Or
He did.
Okay.
And last year he picked it up at the end of the year.
Okay.
But not consistent throughout. So I think a good matchup this week, Tyler Higbee versus that Saints defense.
Well, not that we're a wagering show, but the spread between the Rams and the Saints is disrespectful.
It's disrespectful?
It was 14. Last I saw it was 14.5.
It is still 14.5. It may push to 15.5 if I'm being honest.
That is disrespectful.
Tyler Shuck, a rookie quarterback against that defense. I mean, I don't really see a whole lot of production coming out of that.
I don't either, but I honestly, in my lifetime, as far as all the wagering that I've looked at and covered, I mean, I've got to say that's probably the biggest spread I've ever seen on a NFL game.
I feel like there was one earlier this year, either similar or it might have been like 13.5.
Gotcha. I know there's another high matchup this week too. There's two double-digit spreads this week. I know there's at least two the other day when I saw it on Wednesday. I want to say it was the Titans and Chargers, but
let me check it could be the Titans and the Chargers. Let me check while we're moving on to defenses. I don't know if you do defenses or not.
Oh yeah, no, I throw defenses out there.
Okay.
So
all right.
Most of my leagues don't have defenses, but I still got to play the game. So
yeah.
Because I have two, I'm in 5 leagues this year, so the 2 that do, I still have to pay attention. Right now, I mean, defense-wise, the ones that I'm enjoying the most, honestly, I gotta say, let me go down here. I think a defense that is one to look out for is Denver against CJ Stroud and the Texans. Denver's defense looks very good. Denver's defense, I think, honestly, is going to cook today because, honestly, that offensive line with the Houston Texans is almost as questionable as your bottom 5 teams.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is and why they cannot get through it. If it's injuries, if it's taken a flyer on a few guys. It's hard to say this, but that Houston Texans offensive line from last season to this season actually got worse.
Well, Chief, the thing about that is, and most Houston Texans fans will know this, you traded away 2 guys that started for you last year, and I'm not saying they were good by any means.
Yeah.
But when you start with 4 new guys, now that a guy got injured, on that offensive line, it's hard to get that congealing process and consistency. For 4 new guys, 2 of them, who were questionable to begin the season. It really is difficult for CJ Stroud, to get away from that idea of, he had a great first year.
Yeah.
Well, that team was a little bit different than this one.
But when you start off last year and this year with fragile offensive lines, you run into an injury with with 2 injuries on your offensive line, you're plugging and playing. I know all about having to plug and play an offense in 2 major games as far as a Chiefs fan goes. And we all know what happened in both of those games. So, quote unquote, Tampa Bay did it better, not Philly. But, I will say this. My third defensive matchup this week that I'm seeing right now at this point, I'm going to have to roll with Green Bay against Carolina.
And that is the other big spread this week. They are at 13.5.
Okay. So I don't even think you're going to get much pressure out of Micah. I think this is one of those games where they're going to focus on him and other guys are going to eat. And I just Andy Dalton's got the start today, right?
Yep.
I'm going to say a prayer for that man. I'm going to say a prayer for him because he's definitely not what he used to be.
Right.
And I want to I remember I'm not even thinking of when he was in Cincinnati, but I mean he was serviceable last year in Carolina. Before then,
Right.
he wasn't even half bad when he was in Dallas for a small minute. But he's just kind of gotten to that age where it's just, he's kind of like Flacco. They just don't have it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a shame because you were looking for some progression out of Young,
Yeah.
and just not getting it.
Uh, and this is a testament, and we don't have to go down the rabbit hole on this, but this is a testament
Right.
to the lack of experience these guys are getting in college, and it's not translating well to the NFL.
Well, it's becoming more about
What
I
have you done
think,
for me lately versus what have you done for me in totality?
well, no, I think that more and more what we're seeing is a model of teams trying to build a team around a rookie quarterback contract before that guy gets paid. So
Yeah.
we're going to put him in when we know he's not ready yet, hoping that year 2 and 3 will get you to where you want to go.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think there are only a select few teams in this league who can honestly make that work. And it starts with your head coach and the foundation you put with, your offense. Let's just use that in general because right now, Cowboys have a very good offense, but their defense is abysmal. But you know what? They're still making it work.
Well, actually, he has no designation. They just put it up there. He has no designation today. So Bryce Young might be in the lineup. But either way, he's still got that ankle injury.
Yeah, but that's the thing though. Going against a defense like that,
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't risk it. You already know you're not going to contend for your division. You might as well not risk further injury on Bryce Young.
Yeah, and that's the model that the Cardinals are going with because Kyler Murray could play. They say he could play if needed. He's actually serving as the backup today. So I don't see why they wouldn't do this same for Bryce Young, especially in a matchup like this.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think I think you sit him.
Yeah,
and just let Andy Dalton just survive this game if possible, and kind of go from there. I mean,
the last week they got blown out 40-9 against the Bills, and so it's not like they haven't seen blowouts before. So
no. Is that in? Oh no! And you know what? I just realized another reason why that spread is so high. It's in Green Bay.
Yeah, it's in Green Bay. Yeah,
and
yeah. I mean, they're automatically getting 3.5, and then they're saying they're 11.5 points better than that.
Now make this make sense.
Or 12.5.
Chiefs are still favored a 1.5 in Buffalo.
That's because they think that the Chiefs are going to have a better offensive production.
Yeah.
I mean, are you saying that because Josh Allen's 4-1 against him in the regular season?
Yes, I'm going off of 4-1 against the Chiefs in the regular season. You have a Chiefs team that honestly just 2-3 games ago found its way, getting Rice back, getting healthy-ish.
Yeah.
And then you saw last week of what Buffalo did to Carolina. How are we still 1.5 favorites on the road? Like, I get it if we were at home, but at Buffalo, that's a little. I don't know what they're thinking. giving us the favorite. But
do you not like being the favorite? You like being the underdog all the time?
That part doesn't bother me. It's more or
Uh-huh.
less of how close the points are.
I gotcha.
That's a weird spread to me. 1.5 in football. That math doesn't math to me. So Vegas
Yeah.
knows something, and that's why I'm not touching I don't wager on my team. I can't do it. Every time I do it, they lose. So
Yeah. All right. So some defenses I like this week. The 49ers defense versus that Giants offense. They're only owned in 21% of leagues, believe it or not. Yes, the 49ers defense is injured, but the Giants, I just don't feel like they have a whole lot of explosiveness all the time. And I feel like the 49ers may be able to kind of tamper their ability by using the run game against the Giants defense. They do have a good pass rush, but not a great run defense. The Cowboys, believe it or not, versus the Cardinals. Jacoby Brissett getting the start, as we mentioned earlier, only owned in 6% of ESPN fantasy leagues. And then finally, the Bears against that Bengals offense. You know, the defense is pretty solid in Chicago most of the time. And I just don't know what's going to happen with Joe Flacco and that shoulder injury. Right now, he is questionable, but looks like he will start. But how long will he start in that game before he takes a sack or something, and then you bring in Browning, and next thing you know, it's sack city, and you get a defensive touchdown maybe.
Yeah,
So.
I've never played football, but I've broken my left AC joint. It's not fun.
Oh no, and I've separated my shoulder quite a few times. I actually not playing football, but driving a quad. So hit a tree one time and then went over a giant hill.
I gotcha. No, I will. Sorry if you hear little guy. He's
you're good
right now.
You're good.
But no, I will say this: as far as who's their backup in Cincinnati right now, who's the number
Browning.
2?
Jake Browning.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
that whelp just said it all.
I can't even break that down.
Right.
Seeing Jake Browning, I mean, he did throw 3 picks against the Jaguars and still managed to win. That's the only
but he also threw 3 pick sixes in other games. Not in one game, but so
yeah.
I mean, the one game he had a fumble against them for a scoop and score, and then a pick 6 against them also. So
yeah, and that's where I sit here and I'm just like, okay, Jake Browning.
That's why it's going to be hard to start Jamar Chase too this week. I know it sounds crazy. You're going to have to start him, but
yeah, I mean,
tamper your expectations.
Yes, do not expect Jamar Chase to be your guy. Granted, we all know in probably 45% of leagues he went number 1 overall.
Yep, I chose him as number 1 overall in my league.
Yeah, and I gotta say this. It's getting cold to where he's supposed to be having his catches and receptions, but it's also with the lack of production at quarterback, the hard part that you're running into at this point is who's throwing him the ball, how many targets is he getting, and how are those passes being thrown? Because he's got the catch radius, but if you're Jake Browning, is it really going to go to you? So I'm not even trying to, because I have plenty of friends who are Bengals fans, and the hard part with me is I just had, golden rule: if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing.
Right.
When you have to dissect a quarterback for fantasy purposes, it's just so tough when it's Jake Browning.
Yeah, agreed. All right. So before we get going here on the kickers, I know typically A-Train doesn't do kickers. I don't know if you did kickers this week.
I will. You know what? I will bust out some kickers. Let's go. I may not know the names.
Okay.
So I may, but I can tell you who's kicker. If you guys have him on your team, please go for it, but I'm gonna I'm gonna half-ass this.
Okay.
So, let's see. Kicker number one, I'm gonna have to say he's been a little shaky. It's gonna be a redemption game for Harrison Butker.
Okay.
Okay, I something's telling me he's gonna have to get himself right because that knuckleball that he kicks is getting on my nerves. And he's going to send us to victory by a field goal today, 24-27.
Okay. So they get the 1.5 spread. They cover that.
Yeah, they do. The next one, I think it's really almost malpractice if you don't count Brandon Aubrey, just because with Aubrey or with this Cowboys team, you don't know which Cowboys team you're going to get. If you're going to put up a 40 burger, or if you're going to have a tough-nosed game, or if you're going to give up points. Because one thing I can say is Jacoby Brissett's he's ultimately playing for his life because he wants a starting job. I think Jacoby Brissett should be a starting quarterback. I think he's better than a few bottom teams, but he just kind of a little older now and didn't get a fair shake when he was with other teams. The other kicker, let me find him. What was his name? Okay. I'm going to say the kicker for – you're going to have to –
I can help you out.
Okay. I'm going to have to say the kicker for the Seahawks.
Yes, I have him as a waiver wire guy, Josh Myers.
Okay, Josh Myers. Yeah. Wow, how he's on the waiver wire is astonishing.
Only 34% of teams own Josh Myers in ESPN.
I want to, I wonder if it's possible to find this out. I want to know what the percentage is of fantasy owners that have Seattle Seahawks on all rosters. Because
it'd probably be high because I'd imagine people have Zach Charbonnet, people have Jackson Smith and Jigba, people have Kenneth Walker. Some people may have their kicker like just out of necessity. I'm the guy who drafts the kicker in the last round every year, with the exception of this year. I took Brandon Aubrey earlier than I do kick. I took him in the 13th round and not the 16th round.
I was already gone and swimming by the time that round came in our draft.
All right, but as we transition into waiver wire guys, we already talked about Josh Myers, 34%. And a guy who I like this week, based on the matchup, is Brandon McManus. He's questionable versus Carolina, but only owned at 14% of leagues. And Kai Fairbairn versus that Denver defense, 37%. I feel like that game is going to wind up being 16-13 for some reason. The defenses are good. And the offenses are shaky. Bo Nix is doing well, but I don't know that, there's a lot of points to be put up against these defenses. So I feel like field goals are going to be at a premium in that Denver-Houston matchup.
I think the actual kind of the equalizer as far as what would separate Denver is their rushing attack because their corners are top flight security. It's just I want to see how J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey perform against this Houston defense. Because if they can get the necessary touches and the necessary yards, honestly, I see them being able to honestly make a difference in this game. The
one caveat is Patrick Surtain is out for Denver.
Yes, but I still think that defense is still – as long as the front seven can create equal pressure, I think Riley Moss is not going to be as big of a liability as everyone thinks. And I think their number 3 corner, I think he's going to jump up to number 2, and I think he'll be fine. I still believe in Denver. It's weird saying that as a Chiefs fan, but I don't have any ill will towards the Broncos personally, so it doesn't really bother me.
Yeah, no, me either. I don't I don't think. I just feel like the offenses versus these two defenses is just going to struggle a little bit. I mean, um,
Yeah.
when we talk about these two defenses, they're pretty tops in the league. I
Yeah.
mean, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And I'm excited for that matchup today. I think it's at noon, so I might actually get the game.
Yeah, well, since everybody lives in the Eastern time zone, we're going to say one.
No one lives in the Eastern time zone. I'm sorry. Excuse me for being landlocked.
That's right. What's wrong with you? I mean, you're not quite Nebraska. You're not
I,
landlocked.
I'm just south of there in Kansas, buddy.
Yeah,
It is what it is.
I hear you.
I'm
And
in
Kansas is in Kansas City, right?
No, I'm closer to Wichita.
No, I know. I'm just
Oh.
joking. I'm joking because people don't know that there's two Kansas Cities.
Oh, yeah. There's that's a funny joke.
Oh, just in case you didn't know, just came across the wire here. Brock Purdy is out today. Mac 10 will get to start. Looking to light up that Giants defense.
I'm surprised they waited that long.
I mean, they already said it yesterday, but it kind of, this is official.
It sounds like in the Feed Me Now society we live in that you need double and triple reminders for fantasy.
For sure. I mean, who doesn't need fantasy reminders? In fact, you should set your fantasy reminder for every Wednesday night. Typically, we are Wednesday nights on the Not Move Fantasy Football podcast. Just today, we decided to get one in early Sunday.
If we run into an issue where we're unable to, this time will be our backup time. And if I have to fill in again, I got no issues with it. It actually works for me Sunday mornings if need be. So
I got you, and it's easy like Sunday morning. So
it's easy like Sunday morning. Just gonna sit here and have some lemonade and relax.
Exactly. All right, guys. So thanks for tuning in to our NFL fantasy podcast, Not Move podcast, fantasy football. We hope you enjoyed the show. Looking forward to seeing you guys next week on Wednesday, where the trade deadline will have occurred, and we may see some new faces in new places. So thanks again for Chief filling in for A-Train.
It's all good,
I appreciate all his knowledge with the fantasy football, and hopefully the Chiefs, give him a happy Sunday. But I look forward to all the games and making them good.
Yeah, I just hope my blood pressure doesn't go up like normal.
Well, there's zero chance of that happening, just because I know you personally. So the first drop in the game by a receiver on the Chiefs is going to be the blood pressure boiling point.
Yeah, I'll just text you and just be like, and it started.
You're right. All right. So thanks again to everybody for tuning into the Not Move podcast, fantasy football edition, where stats become stories. Have a great day, everybody.
Always stay not moved.
This non-casual podcast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or reused without the authorized written consent of the Not Move Podcast Network. Thank you, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.